CEO and Chief Designer of Space Exploration Technologies. The floor is yours.
Thank you. Mr. Chairman.
You want to turn on your, there we go.
Mr. Chairman, Ranking Member Cochran, members of the committee, thank you for having me here today. SpaceX was founded to make radical improvements to space transport technology, with particular regard to reliability, safety, and affordability. Today, it is arguably one of the leading aerospace companies in the world, with nearly 50 missions contracted at a value of approximately $5 billion. We have launched our Falcon 9 rocket 8 times with a 100% success rate, including 4 launches for NASA, 3 which docked with the International Space Station, and have launched a sophisticated geostationary satellite for the world's leading satellite companies. We are restoring America's competitiveness in the global commercial space launch market as the only U.S. company that is consistently winning head-to-head competitions for launch opportunities at the world level. With respect to the ELV program, I have 5 points to make. The first is that the Air Force and other agencies are simply paying too high a price for launch. The impacts of relying on a monopoly provider since 2006 were predictable, and they have borne out. Space launch innovation has stagnated, competition has been stifled, and prices have risen to levels that General Shelton has called unsustainable. When the merger between Boeing and Lockheed's business occurred, the merger promised in the press release $150 million of savings. Instead, there were billions of dollars of cost overruns and a non-McCurdy breach for the program exceeding 50% of its cost projections. According to congressional records, in FY13, the Air Force paid an average of $380 million for each national security launch, while subsidizing ULA's fixed costs to the tune of more than $1 billion a year, even if they never launch a rocket. By contrast, SpaceX's price is well under $100 million, meaning a savings of almost $300 million per launch, which in many cases would pay for the launch and the satellite combined. So if you took something like a GPS satellite, which is about $140 million, you could actually have a free satellite with the launch. So our launch plus the satellite would cost less than just their launch, which is an enormous difference. And we seek no subsidies to maintain our business. To put this into perspective, had SpaceX been awarded the missions ULA received under its recent non-competed 36 core block buy, we would have saved the taxpayers $11.6 billion. Competition, point number 2, competition is coming to the national security market. This has been acknowledged. And we are ready to compete for that. In order to be certified as an ELV provider, SpaceX has had to meet a number of requirements that were never demanded of the incumbent provider. We were required to successfully launch 3 flights of our upgraded Falcon 9 vehicle, which we achieved in January. Under our ELV certification agreement, we're undertaking vigorous engineering reviews with the Air Force. To date, we've delivered more than 30,000 data items to the Air Force and provided total access to our internal systems to more than 300 government officials for certification. And we hope to complete that certification this year. And point number 3 is we really believe that robust competition must begin this calendar year. We applaud the early steps the Air Force and NRO have taken to reintroduce competition into the ELV program. In 2012, the Air Force, under direction from the Secretary of Defense, committed to competing up to 14 missions, with 5 missions available for competition this year. Of course, we would greatly have preferred that the Air Force open all of its missions for competition. And we have serious concerns that the 5 missions that will be competed this year will not actually be, that these 5 missions will not actually be awarded this year. We recently learned that perhaps only 1 will be awarded this year. Point 4, with the advent of competition, a launch should really be viewed as a commodity, and any competition between new entrants and ULA should properly acknowledge the launch subsidy received by the incumbent. Consistent with federal procurement regulations and DoD acquisition directives, when a competitive environment exists, the government should use firm fixed-price FAR Part 12 contracts that properly incent contractors to deliver on time and on budget. That means eliminating the $1 billion subsidy, annual subsidy to ULA, which creates an extremely unequal playing field. And the final point is that Our Falcon 9, Falcon Heavy launch vehicles are truly made in America. We design and manufacture the rockets in California and Texas with key suppliers throughout the country and launch them from either Vandenberg Air Force Base or Cape Canaveral Air Force Station. This stands in stark contrast to the United Launch Alliance's most frequently flown vehicle, the Atlas V, which uses a Russian main engine and where approximately half the airframe is manufactured overseas. In light of Russia's de facto annexation of Ukraine's Crimea region and the formal severing of military ties, the Atlas V cannot possibly be described as providing assured access to space for our nation when supply of the main engine depends on President Putin's permission. Given this development, it would seem prudent to reconsider whether the 36-core uncompeted sole source award to ULA is truly in the best interest of the people of the United States. I thank the committee for this opportunity and look forward to addressing any questions.
Consecutive launches is a great record.
I would, although I'd like to point out that there were two highly publicized failure investigations, one for Delta IV Heavy, one for Atlas. The Air Force conducted failure investigations. ULA has a very good track record. It is just not quite as perfect as 68 perfect launches.
Mr. Gass, you have any response to that?
We measure the mission success by our customers' declaration. And so if they declare that the satellite and the mission is a success, we use the same record. And why it's that important, because our profit is tied to a mission success. If we don't deliver it, it's not only we forfeit our profit, but potentially get a penalty. So the declaration is about the on-orbit capability, and that's how we measure success.
Mr. Musk, in October 2012, I believe this is right, a secondary payload aboard a SpaceX Falcon 9 rocket was sent into the wrong orbit because one of the 9 Merlin engines powering the rocket failed. What recourse did the owner of the secondary payload have in that situation to recover damages? In other words, what's next? What was next?
Right. Well, by ULA's definition of success, that mission was perfect.